Welcome, everybody. This is Deborah Atkinson, and this is Fitness Marketing. This is all about what are the logistics of the small group mastermind program. So this is a lot. Let me just make sure we set this up and frame this so you and your expectations are what I'm planning on delivering. I am sharing with you the launch of starting in March, small group mastermind, and that will take place on Tuesdays right now, and we'll meet 3 times every month. You'll have homework in between and access to everybody, including myself, on a private Facebook group in between. So I'm here to share some of the logistics about that. But before we actually get to that, in case you're thinking about it, what I want you to get is a little bit of me, partially. So I want you to make sure it's a good fit. And I want to give you a little preamble of what kinds of things we're going to be diving into. So I want you to walk away today with feeling that you got some great ideas of at least things you need to do and some insight on how to do them. So I'm going to give you some practical tips today. And then I'll talk a little bit more about how we will, during the mastermind 90 days, dive deeper into it to help you grow your business. So if you've been looking for somewhere to turn, some kind of support and structure so that week to week, day to day, you've got accountability to move yourself forward in your business when you're working as an entrepreneur, either solo, maybe you are it, or even if you've got just a very small team supporting you, but you're the decision maker. I know how hard that is. I do it every day, and I have a coach and a mastermind. And so it never ends. You're always reaching for the next step and needing to go there. So what I'm wanting to do is help you with some success that I've had over the last 31 years and an awful lot more mistakes than that, and spare you from those. And bringing in with me somebody who's got 36 years of experience as an owner and operating manager. What that means is he's not on the beach kicking up his feet and reclining or playing golf. He's actually in right now 6 facilities every single day. He walks in, he sees customers, he sees staff, he hires, he does meetings. And between the two of us, if you're doing math, that's 67 years of experience. His with facility management, with buying, with leasing equipment from the 9 out of 10 fitness businesses that still fail today, right? He's bought and used and stored, refurbished their equipment because he can get it for a steal, because quite often that happens in the first 5 years of business. So between he and I, we've worked together, teamed up. I was program director, created the programs, created the marketing, created the sales training for our personal training team, and we did extremely well for 6.5 years during the worst economy. Now, they're still doing okay, but progress has faded a little bit, and we think we know the solution to that, but we're going to go into that on another day. So let's launch in. So our objective. So what do you want to do? What do I want to do? I want to help you create a strong, systematic, that's a strong word, not random, but a systematic way to grow your personal training business by increasing clients or increasing revenue. Maybe you can't see any more clients, you're busting at the seams, or no more hours. Adding virtual or recurring income if you don't have that, or both. Or number 4, all of the above. Now, you may want one of these right now more than the other. So let me give you, for instance, if you really desperately need income, you are well aware that you need to make rent in your private home, maybe not even a facility that you're operating. You want more clients. That's what you're thinking right now, or more revenue. But most trainers in that spot tend to think, I need more clients. Right now, I just need someone to write me a check today and I would feel a little bit better, right? I know that feeling. What I'm going to try to do is get you that immediate gratification so that you can relax and settle into, now what do I need to be doing so that I don't get to that spot again? I've been there. In fact, in personal training, in our quota driven type of business, working in a facility with many trainers in 3 different sites, that happened quite often. However, the risk is that you'll run a sale and you'll discount, but you'll decrease your value while you do that. We can avoid that together. So today, I want to tell you all the systems that you really need to put in place. Now, you might not walk away at the end of this short hour with all of those systems in place, but you'll know what they are. You can put them each in a separate file folder. You can put them on your calendar to spend time with when you have blue sky time this week, and you can begin working on them. The reverse engineering fitness pros frequently miss. So this is a huge challenge. So we start with that today feeling of a desperation, and I've got to make some money, right? I got to get another client. I got to get a paycheck. I got to get something. And we tend to focus on that. And then we relax enough and kind of put up our heels, but then we lose another client. They go on vacation, they break a leg, they get pregnant and can't exercise for some other reason. We're in trouble again, right? And so we keep coming into that. But there's reverse engineering that we really need to be doing. We need to be thinking way out here and working our way backward. Number 3 is shifting from doing okay to really reaching goals, new goals that were set. What I see all too often is, fitness businesses are doing great because maybe for a short time they have no competition, and you just attract, your friends, your relatives, and then you get a couple of referrals from that, but you don't have any goals set. You haven't decided, my revenue last month compared to the same month last year has changed by X amount. Did that just happen? It's just kind of on this road, or was that a goal? There's a big difference there in whether you're really operating a business with goals or you're just kind of along for the ride, because that ride gets bumpy, and sometimes takes a wrong turn. But if you're setting the goals, you're in control, you will see immediately when you start going off and your GPS is telling you, take a right turn, take a U-turn at the next corner. You'll right away get some signals so you can stop it from going too far in the wrong direction. Number 4 is defining success. I don't know what that is for you. You may need to tell me so that we can work together, but for sure, you need to tell yourself. Put it on paper. Do you know what it is? And here's what I'm going to tell you about number 4. That's hard. Even that step, writing it down, means potentially you will fail, right? So I have a lot of trainers who come to me and who work with me, and even wellness clients for that matter, because I still also coach. In order to be authentic with you, I think I've got to have my finger working with customers too. So I still do that. But in both cases, a lot of times we don't actually know what we want. We don't know what success looks like. We haven't defined it. We're just kind of thinking, going along the road and thinking, I don't have energy, and so I want energy. Or I feel pretty good. My clothes are fitting better. So great. We think we're fine, but we're not fine if we don't define what we need to do to get it. Number 5, describing the logistics of the small group mastermind. So we'll get to that. That's just the mechanics of, what would you get if you became a part? What days would we meet, and what are the expectations as far as content that you'll walk away with and be empowered to do? 6 is determining if you're a fit and you even want to apply. It will be good for me and good for you no matter what you decide, if it's yes or no. But if you know one of those by the time you leave, rather than thinking, I don't know, I'm gray, maybe not. Application now, and I'll show you how you can get started and get a little bonus if you want to get started. March 1st is the official group start. The earlier you start, the more of me you will get one-on-one before we get going. So number 1, we're going to give you 5 systems that you need to have in place. This is number 1. So if you're taking notes or you got your phone out, take a screenshot. Lead generation. So a lot of people think, I need more people, I need more subscribers, I need more fans on my social media page. Well, not really. What you need really is qualified leads. You need people who know they have a problem, who are seeking a solution that you are for them, and they have money to spend and value what you do. That's the kind of lead generation I'm talking about. Traffic is easy. There is tons of traffic. If you want to throw some money at Facebook, or you want to put an ad in the paper, for that matter, if you're targeting the right people who are reading the paper, you can get traffic. You can get all the traffic you want. You can have contests, giveaways. Traffic is easy. Quality leads is an art and a science. You don't want 500 people. You want 50 of the right people who are looking for an answer, and they feel a sense of urgency about getting an answer to their problem. 500 likes is worthless if they aren't your ideal, your qualified, your answer-seeking customer. So it's back to that math of 50 of the right people is so much more valuable. Don't get carried away and think, oh my gosh, there's a million fans on that Facebook page. It doesn't matter. There are people who cheat and just get likes, and they buy them. But for $5 on Fiverr, I'll get you 500 likes. And, in the end, that actually hurts their visibility. You and I can see the number, but if we don't like and comment and share on their posts, they're having to pay for everything that they put up and that we see. So you want to be on some kind of social media based on where your customers are, but you don't need to be on Facebook. If you're going to be there and you do it badly, it actually hurts you. So think the same way about Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram, and wherever you think someone has said you have to be, you need to be there, you don't. I would tell you that most of us marketing fitness to anyone probably do want to consider strongly Facebook, and we want to consider YouTube. Those have been the two most predominant ways I've grown my social media from about 400 to about 23,000, pretty much organically in the last about 9 months. And the same is true, and that's not all of my social media. That's one particular Facebook site. So I have two of everything on Twitter and YouTube. And so I have more like 35,000 fans or followers on social media altogether. And that's not that many compared to a lot of people, but it seems to be the right customer, right? So those people are buying. That's what we're wanting. We want a recurring stream of ideal customers. So that's the objective, that lead generation, that we figure out where it's going to be for you. We figure out an evergreen marketing system that is always there. It's always in place, that while you're sleeping, passively is bringing you new qualified leads. We don't want to have to all of a sudden have a deadline and have pressure and have a launch and a new start because that is stressful, right? Every time you have to do that over and over again. So recurring stream of revenue, we know that's going to sound nice, right? We know it's just going to be automatically deposited in our bank account. Well, think of the lead generation as the first step. You've got to have leads before a percentage of them will be customers that can do that for you. We want to reduce the amount of sales. I would love to eliminate the amount of sales or discounts and long-term painful recovery that happens when you do those kinds of things. What happens if you do that is, I hope I don't offend anybody, but it's like being a prostitute, right? So once you do that trick, you're going to want to do it over and over again. And if you do it too many times, you will have to. And you are just simply, a slut to the sale, because otherwise you haven't learned how to sell or persuade people in an integrity-based way that you are worth it, that you have full value. And your customer is going to wait for the next sale because you have conditioned them to do that. If you have any staff members, they now are waiting for the next sale too, and they can only sell when there is that reason or urgency to talk about it. Number 8 is it takes an acute pain and focus to create this lead generation system. But once you've done it, it's going to live on. It's going to reward you forever. So you do have to do your day-to-day work, your week-to-week work. You have all of those tasks you still have to do. And then on top of it, you're going to need to focus and do some homework at night or early in the morning or on the weekends to get your book or your movie or your something done at a high quality so that people want it. But then you'll be done with it and it'll live over and over. Look at the immediate gratification for survival. So we want to sell you right now. I want you to know 5 people you could call up and we could make a sale, get you a new client. And let's do that. We're going to teach you the script, how to do it. We're going to teach you exactly what you say, and we will role play it so that you can get those people, relax a little bit about what you're doing, and gain some confidence, and then go on to the next step, because we can actually use your experience with those people to grow what you're doing. So the number 2 step, right, this is 2 of 5 systems that you need to have in place, is client acquisition. Remember that the leads are people who might not join your fan page on Facebook. That's too remote. Those people there's no connection. You have no control over them. But people who join your email list, for instance, you have joined this webinar. I now have your email specifically. So I know you were interested. I know you're a little bit curious about this. I know that we can have a conversation about this for a short while, and at least until you tell me, no, this isn't right. I'm not ready to grow, or I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and just see how it goes. And good luck with that. But client acquisition is the next step. It is actually me saying to you, are you ready to do this? Do you want to take the next 90 days and seriously, yes, be busier potentially than you want to be, have more things to think about than you want to think about, but have someone else who has proven over and over again that this is the way to grow, that these are the most important steps in marketing, and this is the best way to sell consistently, to lead you down that path of here's what to do now, here's what to do next, here's how to follow up. So if you're at that place, you're going to say yes when I ask you that, right? And I am asking you that. So by the end of this session, what I want you to have decided is that my voice in your ear works, that you trust me, that you'll take the advice even when you're tired or you don't want to do that step, or you want to doubt that that works because you heard something else, because you and I have heard 10 diets that are full of fluff that don't work for our customer, but they believed it too, right? So we're all vulnerable in some way or area. And if you're not as successful right now as you want to be with business, I would ask you to consider that you're very like the customers who come to us who are not successful with weight loss, but they have a hard time trusting the fact that we're telling them eating fat actually can help them lose weight, right? It's the same idea. You want to qualify the customer before they ever reach you. And if we can do that through great marketing, and I'm going to teach you how to do it, getting a client to say yes is easy, because by the time they reach you, they have done 80% of their homework. Right now, 80% of the people who connect with you via email or private message you possibly, or they call you or walk in a facility if you're in a brick and mortar building, they have their mind 80% made up that unless you're a jerk and you ruin it, they're going to do something. They've done the research before you ever know it. So we want to buff up your online presence. Your social media presence needs to look inviting and welcoming to the person you're trying to attract, or that's your Front desk staff needs to know exactly in a script what to say, and then it needs to sound like it's not a script at all. But we've got to make sure that you're present online in order to help you be successful. And going forward with life and business, that's only going to get greater. It will probably be higher than 80%. There's a real concern very recently, in fact, this morning, Michael Kors. If you are not a female and not a shoe female, you may not recognize that name, but clothing and shoes, Michael Kors made a statement, the CEO of the company, about brick and mortar buildings are, in trouble and they're going to die because of online stores and online sales. It's just so much easier for them to undercut in price what's happening. Now, that doesn't mean that personal training is ever going to go away. If someone wants the face-to-face, I think that will live on forever. But for many of us who are now offering virtual products, and that should be all of us, I think, by the way, why would you want to miss that slice of pie? If your customer loves you and someone they know lives 4 states away could also access something that you have virtually, there's a chance you could sell to anyone, anywhere. Why not? So a sales system is number 4. We need to create rapport. We need to figure out why, what brings them to you, and why now. What's the urgency for them, in their words, not for you. It's not because you're having a sale. We need to reduce their objections before they even get to the chance where we're asking them to say yes. We want to know their story and we want to share one with them. Social proof of someone like them making the same kind of progress that they want to make. And then we want to direct them to the right choice and ask them if they want help and if they want you to be the person helping. Number 3 is follow up. And this one has an asterisk on it because this is where most personal trainers lose. This is where they start the losing game. So think about this, and it's rhetorical. You don't have to put anything at all in the chat box. And of course you can if you have questions throughout. But if you have, say, in the last 6 months, talked to anyone, emailed with anyone, had a phone call with anyone about the potential for them to become a customer or a client in your business, and nothing ever happened, they didn't actually get started, but you have not followed up with them, you're guilty of not doing this as well, right? This is where prospective customers, connect with us for the first time, and there is a very small percent, about 15% of people will buy within the first time or 2 that they connect with us. Then there's about 80% of customers. It takes them 180 days or more. That's a long time, right? I mean, that's like 6 months. We have to, meanwhile, stay connected with them. Why? Because they're seeing other advertisements for other fitness places. They're seeing other advertisements for restaurants that are taking them further away from what we want them to do, but it's still competition. They see YouTube videos that they think are just as effective as you and I if they've never really experienced one-on-one service. So we've got all of that to compete with. We have to stay in front of them, or another fitness business or some competitor of ours will get the business. That means you need to be emailing them once a week. You need to at least be following up with a phone call once a month. You need to send them a note, send them a letter. Stay in front of them. Used to be newspaper ads that just look like a business card were called TOMA ads, top of mind advertising, so that you just didn't fall off the bandwagon. And I think that whole idea was kind of silly and never very effective, but this kind of TOMA is effective. If you have their email, you have their phone number, or you know where they live or work, you need to connect with them on a regular basis. That means you need to have multiple email lists, right? So you're going to have prospects who you touched once, but they've never come back and did anything more. We know at one point they were thinking about it. They're probably still thinking about it until they tell you no, stop sending me, stop calling me, stop visiting me. You need to keep on them because they know they need it. Everybody knows they need it. So make sure you're there. So that's a conversation different than your customers, right, who did already buy. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. You think you do well potentially with sales because people who call you or walk in or buy, but they do buy. Those people that are doing that are less than 20% of total customers potentially that you could have. You're leaving a lot of money on the table, right? So you're doing paperwork just for people who walk in and they're ready to buy with a question or two about the logistics, like how much is it? What are my membership options? How often can I come? Those types of things, that's not a sale. So if you could increase your sales skills, chances are you could have many more clients, potentially 80% more clients or 80% more revenue, however you like to think about it. Number 4, you need a system for referrals. So let's say we've created leads. We've gotten better at selling those leads. The customer acquisition piece of it, we got better at that. And we follow up, we stay in touch. We also want to use those customers to gain more customers. Their friends, family members, colleagues, relatives are great potential customers for us. So the question here is, when do you ask? And this is one mistake that a lot of fitness professionals will make. They'll wait until the end. So if you sell a package of 10 personal training sessions, a lot of personal training professionals will wait until the 7th or the 8th or maybe the 9th and the 10th. But I'll tell you what happens is the honeymoon period is over. So you've gotten to be somebody that they maybe take for granted. They kind of know your tricks. They know your sense of humor. They know the exercises. They're not as wowed as they were at the very beginning. The best time to do it is almost immediately after they sign the paper. When they decide, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm doing this. This is it. I've changed my mind. I am now a person who exercises and does personal training. And they're feeling really good. And that's the point when a person wants to say, you know what, Martha should be doing this too. This would be so good for her and we could do it together. If you can get them right then. That is the best time to ask. So if you take nothing else away from this, with every new customer you have, if you haven't asked them yet, ask them now, because this is as close to the honeymoon period as you can get, right? You can't go backward in time. But with every new client you get, as soon as they sign, say, you know what, and who do you know? Who else needs to get this? And get them while they're in the honeymoon period. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't ask them later also, but ask them first and early. Then ask them often. So again, yes, ask again. Just don't wait till the end. How do you ask them? And how do you track the request and the response? It's really important that you have a system for that. That's why getting referrals is a system. Somewhere we've got to have a checklist that in this client's file folder where they don't see it, you have, yes, ask them for referrals. On our first date, right? When they first signed that contract, I asked them for referrals. Here's who they gave me. Or they said, no, I can't think of anybody today, but ask me again. And so you record that so you remember it on their next session. And then you look and you've got that right inside where you have access to it and you can ask. How do you make it a win-win for the customer? You want to reward them somehow. So let them know right away while they're really excited about having made that super smart decision. What is it that they would really appreciate after you sold them those 10 sessions? Would it be that they would appreciate, if you want to do this for, anyone you refer to me who actually gets started, I'll reward you with a complimentary session. Maybe it's that, they just bought from you. They appreciate it. They want that. Or you walk by the front desk and they see the sweatshirt, with your logo on it. It's like, would you like one of those? Do you really like that? If they make a comment, that's really sharp. You know what? You can have one of those. If you have a friend you think of who would like that, let me know. Who would like training, and let's get them in here. Figure out a win-win for both them and their friend. What's your personal reservation about asking? Number 6 is a doozy. Should probably be in big and bold letters. This is a big hang up for a lot of trainers, and it's one that is so subliminal you may not be aware of it. So if I ask, for the sale, even, that's a hard one, I look needy. If I ask for referrals, I look needy. If they like me and if they have friends who need this, they'll tell me, they'll just volunteer it. That's a thought process that probably leads in part to bankruptcy. You won't do very well if that's it. You've got to ask for those customers. Let them know, hey, I've got a few slots left. I would love to fill them. And while I still have openings, if you have a friend who would benefit, I would love to at least bring them in and let's get them in for a complimentary session and let them try it. If nothing else, they can have a great experience and, it'll all be thanks to you. Great way to ask, make it comfortable. And you have to practice that, right? So I've been doing that and asking that since 1987, right? I didn't just roll that off my tongue in 2016. Now, you probably are not going to have to ask for 21 years, right? In order for that to, get easy. But you need to practice things like this that are important if you at all have any of number 6. You have a little bit of a hang up about looking needy or thinking, if you were all that great, people would be referring you. They won't necessarily think of it. So number 5 is the customer nurture. And this is also one we forget. It's like second cousin to number 3, that was follow-up, right? So follow-up, particularly really important with our prospects who don't buy. We have to have them somewhere on our Rolodex, or written on your underwear band where you're never going to forget them because they would be your next buyer if you stay with them. But number 5 is all about the customer. Don't forget the one who did buy. Maybe they won't train forever with you. Maybe they will do those half a dozen sessions with you and you have served their immediate need, or you've taken up their immediate budget and that was their reality. And right now, that's what they can do. But at some point again in the future, there will be a new need. There will be a different need. There will be another budget. And you want to be the one they think of and where they spend it. So your current customers, number 1, and your past customer, number 2, both fall on this list. So all your customers should be on some path in your business. The ones who aren't yet customers, but you have in mind for them, they're going to become one. The ones who do buy, they should be getting a certain amount of emails from you too during the fact that they're customers. And then there's their packages done. They should continue to get emails from you that refer to the idea, to the fact that you were a prior customer. I really value you. I miss you. I'd love you to come back. So here's the error. And I want you to think about, oh my goodness, is this me? That a lot of personal trainers make. Even a lot of businesses. So fitness businesses who implemented an email marketing service like Constant Contact or MailChimp or Aweber, they simply have everyone dumped into one main list. They don't have people separated by gender or demographic or interests, and don't have that main list separated. And it's okay to have that main list, but you also need to have separate lists where these are prospects. So you're having a prospect conversation with them. And these are current customers. These are VIPs. You want to give them extra juicy things. They're spending money with you right now. And then there's the customer who was the customer and hopefully will be again, but isn't right now. They're the people that every so often, just like Pottery Barn or Bath and Body Works does, you're going to send them "We've missed you. Here's 10% off your next package." So that they're like, yeah, and I've been thinking about I needed to do that. In Pottery Barn, I've been thinking I needed a new candle, right? And you go and use it because it's like cash. It's like an excuse. And I was thinking about that anyway. It's like the universe must be sending me that message, and it works. That is the simplicity of good marketing. It's really about being organized and stopping to think about what needs to be done and said at these points. So if you don't have the time to stop and get organized, your business can't ever grow and bloom because you can't put these things in place. And you're always going to be cycling through the same customers saying the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time. And that is just the absolute opposite of great marketing. We want to send the right message to the right person at the right time. The prospect needs to get a kind of message that a current customer or a post or past customer doesn't. So how does every message, every staff person, every time do this the same? Super important that we nurture the customers, and not that hard to do right now. It's going to get harder to do if you wait until your business grows or your list grows in the future. The bigger it is, the harder it's going to be to fix. How do we do all that, right? So my answer to this is what follows. So how do I help you create those 5 things? Here are my answers. Number 1, start with programming. So many of you, if you're listening, you may be thinking, marketing and sales, it's all about I got to get an email list or an email provider. At some point, if you are serious about this, you do. And I would encourage you to reflect just a little bit. If you don't have a website of any kind, or you don't have an email provider that is starting to shape you up as a business, not someone who uses from an @Gmail or an @Yahoo. Are you a Yahoo, right? I wonder why. Are you reluctant? Are you not sure you are 100% in to this business, or what's holding you back? Rhetorical question. So let's start again. Programming is where I start. We've got to go back and we look at the programs you have already in place. We just want to make sure, were they built with the customer in mind? Or were they built based on your interest, or based on a personal trainer's whim of this is what I want to do? I love this prop and this toy. I want to do a kettlebell class, or I want to do a TRX class, or a BOSU class, or on and on and on. Not that there's everything wrong with that, but there are a few things wrong with coming at it from anyone but the customer's standpoint. Now, you might pair things. Say, I love the trampoline, and I know that I can match this to a customer that we have already and their needs. Someone who's got poor knees, someone who's got, joint issues, needs a softer surface, can't do high impact exercise, but does want to do high intensity exercise. Really doesn't like exercise, but wants to dance or have fun. That trampoline might fit right there. Your marketing needs to be not about the trampoline, but about the customer and those facts that we just mentioned. Are you looking for exercise that's fun, that feels like dancing, that is softer on the joints, that is still intense and a huge calorie burner? This is your answer, right? So it's not about, trampoline classes, because that doesn't say enough to your customer. So we go back and we look at the programming you've got and make sure that then the marketing is there because you started with the customer. What problem does this solve for the customer? What does the customer hate about this service? What does the customer want from this service? What does the customer hate about the environment? If we know those things, and those sound negative, but sometimes you can spin those negatives into positives for you and the environment that you're working in. And you come back and answer questions before they even know to ask them. So we never want to do a program without market research. That doesn't mean that programs you have now we have to throw out. We just need to look at them and let's go backward, do some market research. And it's almost like breathing CPR into new ones. Sometimes even it's a new title or a new subtitle makes an entire difference. It might be an image on a flyer that makes the difference in success or failure. The number one mistake by trainers who have great programs that add value, that could help people, but they only attract a limited number of paying clients, is there's not enough research about the customer done before the program is just thrown out there. From programming to marketing. So the next phase of how I help trainers is taking their programming to the marketing. If we did a great job, spent enough time in programming, the marketing is practically done. We deliver a chunk, a small piece of the program as the marketing. This is where your leads come to life. So this is where those lead freebies. So if we were going to do a class on trampoline, we might do a short video with maybe 1-minute clips of 5 different exercises, showing how fun it is, showing a variety of shapes and sizes on the trampoline. Now, literally, while I was talking, that came off the top of my head. One advantage of working with somebody who has spent so much time in marketing is that you can think on the fly. And sometimes when you're so close to your own project, you can't see that. So I don't offer trampoline classes. I never have and I never will. But I can see the way to market something you have, and you can't, just like you can't see the nose on your face. So other ways, you give presentations, you offer free ebooks, which basically everyone knows, right? This is a glorified PDF. You create your book in a Word document, we make it a PDF. It's called an ebook because electronically you can send it that way for very low rate. You create a checklist. People like things like checklists, recipes, small challenges I can see on a calendar that are consumable. Now, maybe if it's a month-long challenge, it's not, but I can see it. I can see what I get in about 5 minutes or less. That's important. You and I would probably make the mistake starting out doing the opposite. We would want to give them a free thing that was hours long to read or an hour-long video, and people really want short, consumable answers. Most of us get ebooks, and I put all of mine in storage. I put them in a folder, and I've got a lot of them there that I haven't read ever, even though I know they'd be great. Who has time, right? So shorter is better. So you always offer a bonus for doing it now. I will. I'm going to show you this. If you get started right now, I'm going to get you started because I know that I feel good about the value that I'm going to give you. And I know that if you show up and if you take steps to ask for help and we go back and forth, we will develop some programming that turns into great marketing, that turns into customers for you. So I am shirking my responsibilities if I don't ask. And last but not least, speaking skills. We're going to work on speaking skills, improving that together, and work on video and doing some coaching back and forth so that we can strengthen your message, strengthen your who you are, strengthen why you chose this, and why Your customer should choose you. We're going to teach you how to do social media better. And you're going to have a built-in support group who is going to help you get better at growing it faster. Sample content. So I just want to give you an idea of, 1 week per month, we will do a webinar similar to this, only not. I will give you a lot more pictures and media when we actually are live in ours. But one of the topics that we might work on would be, all right, we're going to focus today for, half of our time on a challenge. We're going to focus on creating challenges. And it's our challenge boot camp today. So what that means to you is you'd come and you would have an assignment and know that monthly themes in your business are a great way to grow subscribers. So you let people know, this month of February, for instance, we're going to do a challenge, and this is the going green challenge. And actually that is my challenge for my membership group this month. So I'm going to work on increasing the amount of vegetables that you have by giving you a way to increase them every single day. So, day one, it's, a handful of spinach in your smoothie. Day two, it's handful of spinach and a quarter of an avocado in your smoothie. Day three, it's, do that in the morning, and then at lunch, put a cup of, chopped spinach, shredded carrot, or shredded zucchini into your soup or your chili. You'll never know it's there, but there's another cup. So on and so on. That's an idea of a challenge. But what we're going to do together is think about, all right, let's come up with themes so that by the end, we walk away. If there are 4 of us on a call, we should walk away with at least 12 each. Everybody's got, 4 ideas they can come up with. We're going to rough it out. It doesn't take more than a few seconds to at least slap something up, and we can say day 1, we'll do this. Day 2, we'll do this. Day 3, we'll do this. If you're doing an abs challenge or you're doing a squat challenge, and I'm not right now grading or rating whether I think that's a good or a bad idea. I'm just suggesting those are things that have been done. Progression, so you can look at, what I put down in there. We can walk away with themes for every month, and your customer. So if we can come up with ways that would be simple tools, that would be a great lead generating tool that you can use. Another sample of content for your mastermind would be a presentation boot camp. So we would actually schedule a webinar where we would take turns facilitating the meeting, or we would take turns facilitating going to look at your YouTube loaded video, and you can make it private or unlisted and share it with only those of us in the group, and get coached on, a 3 to 5 minute presentation, just an introduction that you might do if you were up in front of the Rotary group or a women's group or Kiwanis, or you were invited to speak, so that we can make you much more powerful. And as a member and professional speaker, a member of the National Speakers Association for the last 10 years now, and a speaker actually for the last 20, I have a lot of experience both watching good and bad and lame, and I want to crawl out of the room on my knees and not have to endure the rest of this, or really stunning speakers. And I can help you become better. And this is one of the number one ways that you can generate rapport in a non-intimidating way for your audience, by getting up in front of a large group of people one-on-one. So it's one to many generating leads, which is you can't beat. So sales. So we talked first about programming, getting from programming to marketing, and then sales is a huge piece. You're going to learn systematically to sell with integrity. So if you have a negative association with sales, or having to do it, or don't like it, don't know how to do it, clam up, feel uncomfortable, get tongue-tied, any of the above, I've worked with trainers who felt that way from the very beginning and who were very self-conscious and hated sales, claimed they hated sales even as they were getting better at sales. But it is the one obstacle that stands between you and someone that you can help. you have to ask for the sale. And if you look around at America, if you're only going to take the ones who come to you easily, you're only still working with 25 to 30% of the population. Your greatest growth opportunity as a personal trainer is reaching out for those 75 to 80% of the population not exercising or not exercising enough. There's no shame in asking. If you think you can help someone, you have the responsibility. And you can make the recommendation based on what's best for the client, not just on what's the biggest sale. And if you do that, chances are that you will probably sell more than if you overshoot and try and sell something else. It's hard to go back on average. Once you start, you will gain confidence immediately in your ability to sell. Closing the sale versus freezing. We will talk about pricing. Depending on where you are in the country, your pricing will be different than someone else. Depending on who you serve, how you serve them, pricing will be different. But these words, pricing, positioning, presentation, these are not the P's you should have learned in marketing in college. The P's you learned in marketing in college don't help you very much. But presentation of your price and how you position them even on the paper and when you position it in your conversation does matter. Pricing is a technicality that only comes up once you have a customer sold, once they want what you're selling. And presentation is done in a way that leads them to exactly the one that you want them to choose. Training. So based on whether you have staff, the fourth piece of the puzzle really is training other people to be you, or training in a way so that you can delegate, whether it's a small portion of your social media or creating images that you can use for social media that you delegate to someone else who's maybe a virtual staff person. How do you write an ad? If you're wanting to find someone, I will teach you how to do that and how to do it a lot better than some of the traditional methods. How can you attract interns for free who might become your best employee by you training them for free and you getting to watch them and their motivation level at a time when they should be trying to impress you? If that's what they're doing, chances are you've got somebody who's going to be good there. Recreating you is really important. Delegating things that you're not the best person to do so that you can do your highest priority tasks, the ones that only you can do. You need to know what is your skill. What is your real purpose and your real gift? Are you the creative? Are you great at coming up with programs based on what customers want and need? Are you great at creating the marketing? Are you great at getting out there and doing public speaking and persuading? Are you great at that? Networking. What is it that is the thing only you can do? That's what you should be doing the majority of, especially your most creative time during the day. And the majority of your time, period. Someone else should do the things you know you're not good at. And if you dislike them, chances are you're not good at those. The things you really like are the things that you should be doing the most of. The logistics of the mastermind. So if you made it this far and you're still listening, amen, great. So here's the logistics. So we are planning right now, Tuesday. So I want to make clear right now, that's up for grabs. So if someone came to me and said, I'd love to be involved, I definitely want to do this. Tuesday, I cannot do this. I would have a conversation with those interested parties and we'll see what we can come up with. But unless I hear otherwise, Tuesday's it. We have 3 meeting times a month, so 3 live contacts. You have first Tuesday of every month, so it'll be simple and easy for you to remember. The first Tuesday of every month is the group webinar. So similar to this, but different because we'll really be diving into content that might be about, number 1, lead generation is going to be it, right? Most important. The very first time we meet, I will have already met with you individually and taken your application, and I will know collectively what's our greatest urgency. Do we need immediate gratification and we need some sales right now in order to have dinner tonight? Then we'll focus on that. If not, we'll go to the next step. So that group webinar will focus on topic. That's the format first. And then we'll have a question and answer time, and then live coaching as time permits. So that first webinar of the month could be 90 minutes long for anybody who wants to stay on. It will always end with the live coaching, and that will all be recorded. So if for some reason you can't make it, you're sick and on your deathbed, or you're off to Australia, you can listen to the recording, so you won't lose out. The second Tuesday is a group call. So just by phone on your status and your action. So with the first meeting, we've covered a topic, and we've gotten you to leave thinking, here's my action for next time. Tuesday's accountability call is about bringing us up to date and up to speed on what progress you made. So everyone will get 10 to 15 minutes on that call to update and get a little Q&A back and forth with anyone else in the group who wants to ask a question about what they hear. So you're learning as someone else is moving forward in a different area perhaps than you are about what steps they're taking. And that's valuable. So this is an accountability call. You're going to report your actions. Where are you stuck? I mean, you might have this time to say, okay, here's what I've done, but here's the questions that came up while I was doing that. That's how it should be happening. You don't know until you get in there and you get your hands dirty sometimes what you should have asked or need to. So we're going to move you forward and solve problems on that second call. Week 3 is just you and me one-on-one. So those ideally may happen on Tuesdays, but they all can't happen, of course, at the same time that our webinars or calls do, because I'll spend an hour with each of you individually. So we have a little wiggle room. That might be Tuesday, it might not be, but we'll come up with a regular time. So it's your personal dive into your program, a challenge that you're having, getting your questions answered about programming. Maybe you've had a couple sales consultations and you didn't close anybody, and so you want to review your notes and say, what should I have said, or this came up, how should I have dealt with that? We can go through that right now. Okay. So you decide content wise what it is you want to cover. I don't bring a topic to it, but then I will help you dive in headfirst into that topic you need help with. Private Facebook group is there. We'll create that only for this group, so it's not a pre-existing one and other people will be there. It'll be just us. You're going to find documents. I'll load there for notes from our calls. I'll put in some links. I'll let you know, here's where you can go grab the webinar. Here's where you can go grab the call from this month, and they're all going to be in a membership site, but no one will have access to them but you. So all of those things will be there, and you can load up, I've created this flyer, or I'm looking at these logos that someone created for me on Updesk or Fiverr or Logo Tournament. What do you think? What are your votes? So you can get feedback from people who are going through the same thing, from me, but also from peers. So the program, we'll do some research to revenue. We'll have themed monthly offers, monthly challenge setup, free or fee. I'm going to teach you how to get into your programming. The research to revenue, that's an example of something that I present at conferences and have done a recent webinar actually for my subscribers. I think that was a gift at the end of the year in 2015. But I take recent research studies and teach you, how would you take that study, make it a marketing piece for you to attract new prospects into your business or to a church or some local lunch and learn, and then create an offer that you give them based on the program and the protocol and say, hey, we'd love to do this. If you are 50 and over and you want to start a weight training program and don't have much experience, we're going to replicate this. We just want to keep track of your data, anonymously, and see how you do it. People love that. So it'll teach you how to do that and how to create the marketing materials that will do that for you. So here's the guts of it. The small group mastermind is small because we don't like big. I'm not a fan of done for you newsletters. that look and sound like everybody else's. I don't know about you, but I follow several guru marketers or marketing gurus in the email marketing circles. And they do done for you headlines. These are our most popular headlines of 2014, 2015. And then fitness gurus that do marketing, and I follow my competitors, are using the exact headlines. Now, to me, that repels me. So I would never use someone who can't creatively think of something that would appeal to me more than a generic marketer can. And your customer, I believe, is exactly the same. If you have an educated, especially higher educated customer that you're targeting who can afford to pay personal training fees, chances are they're going to value something that talks to them, speaks to them, is timely, and not so generic that everyone else's headline reads the same in their promotions folder. So we go small group because I'm not going to give you 10 headlines that'll work. I will give you 10 headlines that worked for me and work with you on customizing them to your audience. So private coaching by comparison is almost $1,200 per 12 weeks. Okay. So one-time emergency phone call, I don't do one-time coaching, is $300. So it's discouraging because it's high on purpose. I can't help a lot in an hour. But for someone who's coached with me in the past and then just needs a hit and knows I'll give them the straight lowdown, that works. Okay. Versus small group mastermind, it's $5.99 right now for 12 weeks or 90 days. So same as the private coaching. March 1st to June 1st basically are the dates. There is no putting that on hold. The program goes. If you come along or you drop out, that's you. That's up to you. February 19th, the rate goes to $6.99. Still a great rate. It's not that you can't get in if you don't adopt as the early bird. It just will cost you more and you will get fewer bonuses. So if you opt in now, you have more time to spend with me between now and March 1st. So we can go back and forth. I can collect all your application and benchmarking. We will have an hour private session to talk about where you are, what you most need by the end of that 90 days, what you're looking for, and any questions that you have that come up between, you've got access to me. So that's for early adopters before the 19th. So it's a one complimentary session, pre-program, following your intakes. Well, you and I can do goal setting, identify what obstacles, why aren't you there right now, and what opportunities are there that you might or might not see. That's a $300 value, remember. So this is to set your GPS. So when we get to the group webinars and the group accountability calls, you've already got, an idea of how am I going to spend those wisely. So what's next? You can hang out. I will send you a follow-up email with a link to the recording for this in case you want to listen to it again and or, hit and miss, find a spot where that wasn't clear to me. I will send you the link to register for the mastermind now if you want in on the early bird. There are 4 spots available. I have 2 maybes indicated that, one for sure, if the rest of the group goes, she's in. So there are officially 3 spots left. I would count on 2 for sure. So I still have a maybe in one of those. So then comes, you register, I send you the welcome, I send you the long application, and we set up the pre-private homework for you to do. And then you and I discuss what date and time works best for you, and we do an hour call. So get your preliminary blueprint for closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And here's a place to register, voiceforfitness.com/mastermind. Remember, we're only taking 4. 2 already have interest indicated. So a brief consult, if you are just absolutely not sure, you can find me right here. So I'm not going to spit that out to you. It's long, it's lengthy. For those of you that are on the call, you've gotten just about everything that you're gonna get from me in terms of free information before you get started. Here's the other guarantee you have. I can't guarantee the mastermind will work for you because I can't guarantee you will work for the mastermind. We always guarantee I will show up. I have a guest who will show up, especially if there's a big interest in learning about leasing, buying or leasing equipment, and dealing with companies as far as doing that, or buying someone out who's going out of business. But we promise we will show up if you show up and if you interact and do the homework, that you will make progress and you will be successful. The one thing that most fitness professionals don't have going for them if they struggle or they never truly commit 100% to making this a career is that right there. They don't get 100% in. They want to do some work, but not all of it. And that is it. If you have questions, please feel free to drop them to me directly. And I look forward to hearing from you. And I look forward to a great group. So the energy in the group that we get determines the success in some way, shape, or form of all of us.